Alright, so taking a little break from working on this Leman Russ. This is a very cool looking Leman Russ. All you have missed is that I gave it a primer coat of Chaos Black in preparation for painting. I saw that as I primed, some of the holes in the cannon that we filled, the putty shrank a little bit, so I gave it just another coating. I'm going to have to sand that a little bit before we paint. Not a big deal, no problem. I'm going to be painting it in the standard tank camouflage of my army, which is a base coat of gunship gray and then game air cold gray on top. So we'll be doing the whole gunship gray, and I have different camouflage patterns. They're all fairly similar, but for infantry includes an olive drab element to it. Artillery has a slightly different one, and then for older vehicles that I have different patterns that I use for different things, but all of my tanks kind of share this common gray on gray camouflage pattern. So I'll be not all of them are this dirty. Somebody gave me a great tip, which was paint all your tanks pristine and brand new, and then as they play in games, start to dirty them up and then start to weather them up. And that way, with every game they play in, make them a little dirtier, weather them up a little bit more, and that's how you know your veteran units, which I thought was really cool. Great idea, and that it kind of gives them some character as they go through your life of gaming and use them in different games. So we're gonna make this one pretty much almost pristine, brand new looking. So first thing I got to do is basically just sand up first thing I got to do is basically just sand up this part of the can a little bit, make it look nice and neat, and then we'll get to painting. Alright, so everything's all sanded now, and looks good. I'm not going to go back and re-prime just these areas. I don't feel like I need to. Problem is I have most of my tanks painted in Model Master Gunship Gray. Now I have this Ammo of Mig Gunship Gray, but I've noticed that it's a slightly different shade, and that happens from brand to brand. The same color might come out just a little bit different. So I stopped using it, but I just don't have enough of the testers. So I was thinking of switching to a slightly different color dark gray. This is the dark gray you'd put on a modern F-15, but I'm worried that that might be just a little bit too light. So I'm going to start painting with what I have left here. I'm running out of this color. I wasn't anticipating being this low. So I'm going to use what I have here. Hopefully I get enough coverage. If not, I'll have to recoat with the F-15 dark gray and hope that it's just different enough from the cold gray to give me that good contrast in colors. Well, by grace and luck, I had exactly enough paint to finish both of these, the hull and the turret, and, well, not both, but all three, and the plow. I mean, literally not a drop to spare. This bottle is completely empty now. So while we let this paint just sort of dry and cure for a little bit, I need to start making the painting masks for the camouflage pattern for the cold gray. So I'm going to take some masking tape, and I am just going to tear it into some pieces. And 2 usually is good. Sometimes I'll do 3 or 4. But all I'm going to do is just start taking, and I like to use a finer point pen than this, but this is what I got right now. And I'm going to start drawing a jagged pattern onto this tape that I'm then going to cut out with the hobby knife. So what I end up with is two masks that I can use for painting. One that's a little wider, larger than the other. And with the number of patterns, I can just lay this as many times as I want over there and just move it up and down. And with these two masks, I can produce 6, 7, 8 different patterns across the tank without really repeating the same thing. It'll repeat, but you won't be able to see it as a repeating mask over and over and over, and it has the effect of looking pretty good across the pattern of the vehicle. So I've got to get my cold gray ready to go, load it up in the airbrush, and then we'll spray. Well, I know that this pattern looks a little bit rough on the outset here, but once we get all the details painted on and once we get it gloss coated and everything kind of comes together, it's going to look a lot better. It always sort of looks this rough kind of, what the hell is this kind of pattern at first when I first paint it on. It really comes together well though once it's got all the details painted, it's got the gloss coat to sort of even it all out, to bring the colors together. It is going to look a lot better when it's all done. We are going to, even though we're going to leave the tank relatively, pristine and good looking, we're going to weather up the plow a little bit because the plow would take the brunt of the, abuse, rocks and soil and stuff as it's driving around. So that's going to get a little bit more weathering. So I'm not so concerned with what the plow looks like right up front right now. But I'm going to let this sit overnight to let the basic camouflage paint sort of cure and let everything just sit and rest. And then tomorrow I'm going to start the painting the details before I give it the first gloss coat and we get ready for some more detailing and decals and everything. Alright, so I'm back. I've done most of the primary painting work on this guy, and I know that I've gotten more than a couple comments asking when you're going to see the painted tank. So this is not finished, but you will see the finished painted tank. Not 100% complete, but like painting complete by the end of this video. So you can see I've got the base color down, the camouflage painting down that matches the rest of my army. I've got a lot of the detail painting underway. I've still got quite a bit to go, but let me move that little hunter killer missile there. Unfortunately, we did have an antenna break, so I'll just have to fix that with plastic strip, sprue or something. But we've got, like I said, lots of the detail painting underway, lots more to go on this. I decided that rather than paint the squad markings up there as I usually would, as in the case of this guy that we'll talk about in a bit, just because I changed the shape up, I put it on the turret, both sides of the turret there. Turret is coming along very nicely, looking good. Obviously, commander needs some work, and we need some color on the bullets there for the stubber, but just about done with the detail painting before we can gloss coat for decals. Haven't done any of the sponsor weapons yet. I'm going to do them all separately, later on. Figure while I'm out painting though, there's another project that I've had in the works for quite a while, and I just figured this would be a great opportunity to get going on it. So here it is. I have loved this tank since the first time I saw it. This is a 30K tank. This is a Horus Heresy tank. It belongs to the Solar Auxilia. This is not a Leman Russ technically. Well, I mean, I guess it is a Leman Russ, but it's not a 40K playable Leman Russ. But I just love the shape of it. I intend to play it as an executioner. I'm going to paint this up like plasma. It's so different looking, So yeah, I'm going to paint it up like this is a plasma cannon and play it as an executioner. I just wanted it because it's so different. and I figured I would start the overall painting on this. I mean, I had this just primed in black for such a long time and did nothing with it. So I'm going to be working on both of these. You'll notice there's a slight difference. Because I ran out of Gunship Gray, I decided to try out Somber Gray, which is a Vallejo Air color. And you know what? Turns out the Somber Gray, this was the gray color I meant to be using the whole time for this camouflage pattern. And you can kind of see the difference. Now, Somber Gray is the basis for my Valkyries. And then there's 2 other grays involved in that. Gunship Gray I've just always used on all my ground vehicles, on my tanks and everything. And side by side, man, I don't know what you guys think. Somber Gray was the way to go the whole time. I'm not going to repaint everything, but I am going to paint everything else in Somber Gray from now on, because I still have quite a few things left to go that are going to be in this paint scheme. And story-wise, for my army, hey, armies change suppliers, armies change... Like, you know, U.S. Air Force planes are a great example. While they have the same basic pattern, the F-15, it's worn different shades of gray throughout its life. So, same. Different shades of gray, same camouflage pattern. Which is older? Who knows? Who cares? The point is, I like this much better than this. Here she is, next steps kind of finished. So I made a little bit of a mistake with the gloss coat that I'll talk about actually in a minute. So really most of the detail painting is done. General decals are done. Just about all the decals are done, in fact. So I really finished the great majority of the detail painting, just about all of it that's going to be done prior to the dull coat. So you can see starting with the tip of the cannon all the way down. We've done some basic washes on some of the colors. Not all of them, but you know, our tank commander figure has some basic washing done. Some of the metallic colors have some basic washes done. Really, that's actually about it. Metallic colors. The tracks, of course, you know, have some basic rusty-ish washing done. But that's really all. But yeah, so the general detailing is done. This drum got a wash prior to gloss coating, as did the metallics, and like I said, the commander. Then I did, most of the details, like exactly as I said. So, you know, I put on gloss from, you know, a spray can, a rattle can. It was just a tester's rattle can. Normally, I have never seen a small tester's enamel gloss before. Every time I've used it, it's been lacquer, and the enamel has a very different kind of finish and flow to it. I guess I just didn't read. I just assumed it was going to be lacquer like every other time I used it. This was enamel gloss coat, which came out just a little bit different. But, you know, in terms of the decals, it worked fine for the decals because all the, you know, you can see they really settled down very nicely over that gloss coat. So no real complaints there. It took a while for the enamel to really fully dry. It was tacky for a little bit, but you know, it's good to go now. So I'm at the point where I've got just about everything done. Now I'm ready for the real wash on the tank. Panel line washes, bolt washes, all that kind of stuff. I might have said this before, I might not, just because this represents, in my world, in the fluff of my army, kind of a new, maybe experimental design. It's brand new to the battlefield. It will not have as much weathering as other vehicles do. So it's not going to get a real heavy wash, it's just going to get some stuff in the panel lines and the bolts and stuff to bring them out, pick out those little details. That's why the washes it got so far were not really heavy, just to kind of dampen down the metallic colors a little bit. I really went heavy on, you know, on the inside of the white because I wanted to tone down the white, you know, on the inside of the hatch, but gave a different color for that hunter killer missile than I normally do to show maybe it's a different model of missile than is on other tanks. This is the kind of stuff that I think of. So Stegadon scale green instead of Cabalite green that I usually use. And you know, I think it's coming out fairly well so far. Not too fancy, just you know, now I'm ready to do those washes, and I think we'll see the wash and the slight weathering it's going to have and the final product in the next one. But for those of you who wanted to see what it was going to look like when it was all painted, this is basically pretty much almost completed painted right here. Just got to do the weapons options and everything and see how that's all going to look. So until next time, here it is, and one more to go in this series.